Good afternoon. This is Ed Mofrad, CPA, part of the around the valuation world with the NACVA. We are here in Las Vegas this afternoon, and I have the good fortune to be interviewing Mr. Dermot O'Neill of Dermot O'Neill Professional Corporation. He flew here all the way from Pennsylvania to be with us and to avail us of his expertise. He just finished presenting on how to oppose experts without standards and how to challenge them. And we want him to extend on that. If there was one takeaway from all this, Dermot, how do you challenge individuals without standards?
Well, the individuals without standards are basically, in my experience, several. First would be CFAs, Certified Financial Analysts. Although they don't have professional evaluation standards, they do have ethical standards. The other group that I run into frequently are what generally called academics, which are people with MBAs or PhDs. They have no professional standards for evaluation purposes. Others are investment bankers, business brokers, what we call industry experts. A person might be an expert in the restaurant industry or the printing industry and know all about that industry and then think that they can value a business in that industry, which generally happens. Also, we have MAIs, which are members of the member of the Appraisal Institute, which is a real estate designation. And I've run across several situations where, in addition to valuing real estate, they value the business as was situated on the real estate. So those are the ones I've run across, and I'm sure there are more that I haven't experienced.
I see. And in your experience, can a CVA successfully challenge an individual without standards?
Yeah, one of the tools that we have in NACVA is our review standards, which came in June of 15, I believe it was. The review standards used by the member to review and challenge the expert report can wind up being very successful. The review standards can be used to write a review report by the member, or it can be used for the member to assist developing cross-examination questions for the attorney.
I see. And based on your experience on doing this, how do courts go about or view a CVA or somebody in our profession interviewing somebody without standards?
Really, there's not too much of a challenge. The courts basically will accept that the uniform standards of professional appraisal practice are generally applicable throughout the country. And if you can show that your NACVA standards and Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, agree, then really there's really not an issue with the courts. I've been accepted by the courts, federal courts, state courts, for various business valuation type engagements, and there's never been an issue about the NACVA standards, and I've successfully communicated with courts, one in Jersey particularly, using the USPAP standards, because once you're credentialed, you can use pretty much any standards that work under the facts and circumstances.
I see. And in your experience, what percentage of the cases even make it to court?
Based upon my experience, many times I get called late in the game when the attorney didn't really get an expert early enough or got an expert that really didn't work out. So consequently, he's up against it. And many times I get called and need a report within 30 days. I would say probably 20% to 25% of my cases actually go to trial.
I see. And how or why do clients come to you? What do they expect? What's the best case scenario they expect from your work?
Basically, it's all referral, and I have a really good reputation sitting in the witness box. I testify really well, and the attorneys know that. Plus, I use, as I just indicated, the review standards as a guide to critique opposing experts. And in my experience, if I do a really good job there, the case usually settles and doesn't go to trial.
Wonderful. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
And do you work within a radius, or are you available nationally or internationally? What's your...
I work, I have cases nationally. I've testified in 7 states and Federal District Court and Federal Bankruptcy Court and the Delaware Court of Chancery. And so I've testified all over the country. The furthest I've gone is Phoenix, Arizona for a case.
I see. Do you travel internationally for cases or no?
No, I haven't had that opportunity. I'd love to have it.
So what's your one takeaway for a young person getting started in this profession who wants to, carry the torch and follow in your footsteps?
I will give you a statement that was made to me years and years and years ago when I passed the CPA. I ran into
What year was that?
I ran into the partner's office. It was a while ago. I ran into the partner's office waving the letter and said, Joe, I'm a CPA. And he slowly raised his head and looked over his glasses and he said, no, you're not. You just have a license to become a CPA. And I would say the same thing to the CVA recipient, that you now are beginning a trip. And where that trip takes you is pretty much up to you.
I see. And, there you have it, Mr. Dermot O'Neill from Pennsylvania, Glenville, Pennsylvania.
Glenville is right.
And we are fortunate enough to have your years of experience to, benefit from. And again, this is Ed Mofrad, CPA, with Around the Valuation World.